Hey, welcome back to YT Finance, and today we are going to be talking about some news surrounding Workhorse, Hyliion, Warren Buffets Berkshire Hathaway, and Bitcoin. Remember to subscribe, comment down below if you have any questions, like the video for more stock updates, and let's get right into the video. If you clicked on this video to hear about the Workhorse United States Postal Service contract update, I have not heard anything yet, but when I do, I will be sure to make a video so you can be the first one to stay informed. We are going to start off by talking about a Bitcoin article and how Bitcoin is passing gold in value, so investors might want to get some Bitcoin to make their portfolios recession-proof. Right now, I am using the Robinhood app, and if you want to start investing or you haven't downloaded the Robinhood app yet, there is a link in the description for you to join Robinhood and get a free stock down below. Bitcoin is always a hot subject, but mainly for only cryptocurrency investors. More mainstream investors think Bitcoin is either worthless or that the cryptocurrency as an asset class is too risky and or volatile. Well, today we are going to be seeing that Bitcoin has bounced back from its December 2018 lows and the recent crash due to the illness. It has recovered substantially, and it's more than halfway back to its all-time high. So join me right now, and we are about to take a deep dive into this Bitcoin article that compares it directly with gold to see which one is a better investment for you to invest in. The title reads Bitcoin, the next generation's version of gold, and I could not agree more. Except a big difference between Bitcoin and gold is Bitcoin has beat every single asset class and gold is trailing behind almost in last place. The first bullet says gold is an $8 to $9 trillion asset class, and right now Bitcoin is starting to capture a portion of that market value. Some big name mainstream investors are starting to buy Bitcoin, and it's going to replace their gold because it's going to stabilize eventually, and Bitcoin accumulates value almost 100 times faster than gold does. The benefit of gold is that people rush to it in times of panic and recession. This makes it a very good portfolio stabilizer, and Bitcoin just does not have that. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, and cryptocurrencies are risky and very volatile. And we clearly see this volatility in action because Bitcoin was priced at $11,200 and then it recently dipped below $10,000 and now it has bounced back up. So it is very volatile. We can either go with gold that does not grow very quickly but it's very stable, or we can go with Bitcoin which is very unstable but it does grow very quickly. So the choice is yours. I tried to keep that article as short and sweet as possible because I know I do have mainstream investors and cryptocurrency investors on this channel because I do have portfolios and assets in both different classes. Right now, we are going to look at the Hyliion stock because I have a news article about the Tortoise acquisition merger with Hyliion. If you don't know about Hyliion, Hyliion is an electric vehicle stock that takes regular semi-trucks and transforms them into hybrid electrical vehicles so they can operate on gas and electricity, which is absolutely genius. So let's dive into this Hyliion article that I have right now. Currently, Hyliion is merging with a firm called Tortoise Acquisition, and it was just announced that this merger is going to be completed on September 28th, which is huge news, not to mention that the stock is absolutely exploding right now. It is over 100% up. The first quote basically just conveys the point that originally Hyliion and the Tortoise Acquisition merger was only supposed to raise $325 million, and instead it ended up raising $560 million in its original IPO, which is the initial public offering. Rumor has it that the stock price is going to continue to climb all the way up until the date of the merger. It's going to be a huge bubble, and I would highly suggest that any of you should trade off of it as much as you can. Also, moments ago, a special meeting for shareholders is now scheduled for 9:30 a.m. on September 28th, and the main purpose of this meeting is to deliberate and vote upon the merger with Hyliion for Tortoise Acquisition. The second quote just tells us that Tortoise Acquisition Corporation is officially merging with Hyliion, and then from that moment forth, Hyliion will have full subjectivity and authority over all shares and business acquisitions from that point forward. So Tortoise Acquisition will be 100% absorbed because originally it was just a SPAC company, which is a special purpose acquisition company. In another one of my news update videos, I mentioned that Tortoise Acquisition, which is the same company that is merging with Hyliion, is going to launch another initial public offering for another company due to the massive success that it had merging with Hyliion. Hyliion. If you are a current holder of SHLL stock, you have to apply to get into the shareholders meeting before September 23rd. In the meeting, they are not only going to be talking about the merger, but they are also going to talk about increasing the number of authorized Class A shares from 200 million to 250 million shares. Other topics that will be talked about in the Hyliion shareholder meeting will be the issuance and sale of over 30 million Class A common stocks to private investors, along with the voting of 2 directors to serve until 2021, 3 directors to serve until 2022, and another 2 directors to serve until 2023. If you want more information on anything or clarification, the articles are always linked down in the description below. Now that we are done talking about Hyliion, we can now talk about Workhorse. Sadly, I am not bringing you all a United States Postal Service update about Workhorse and how that they scored the contract, but that has not happened yet, and we are all banking on it, especially all of those of us that are invested. And as you can see just by looking at this graph, we've had explosive growth, so I'm already very proud of this stock. Nonetheless, it's going to be a good stock, whether or not they land the United States Postal Service contract or not. But let's jump into this article that I have for us today. This article comes from Yahoo Finance, and while other stocks are crashing like Redfin, Peloton, Tesla, and Apple, Workhorse has moved over 8.5% higher than it already is right now. Now, this is definitely speculation based off of the contract, but still, I will take an 8.5% increase any day. This is just adding to Workhorse's momentum. They have had huge runs and rallies in the past month, all the way up to 30%. Just 1 month ago, it is up 30%, not to mention this one-day 8.5% increase. Right now, it's around $23 to buy a Workhorse share, and I can already see it increasing to $24 probably in after-hour trading. You can see from this graph clearly that the rally has been absolutely insane, and once they do land this contract, if they land the contract, it is just going to fuel the fire, and it could go up even higher. We've seen this with Nikola. Nikola went to almost $90. Speaking of Nikola, they have just paired up with GM, so this is steep competition for Workhorse right now. One of the reasons GM is pairing up with Nikola is because GM's electric vehicles are hurting very badly. They didn't even see over 25,000 orders. Meanwhile, Nikola has millions of dollars in pre-orders. Although Workhorse has already increased 16.2% and continues to rally after the GM-Nikola partnership, I still think this is going to be very big competition and news for Workhorse. Now, this doesn't prevent them from landing the United States Postal Service contract, but this is something that you do want to keep your eye on for the future. I do, however, think it's quite strange that GM paired with Nikola instead of GM pairing with Workhorse, because Workhorse has ties with GM because of the Lordstown plant sale. And that goes without mentioning that Workhorse is certified and authorized to sell their electric vehicles and deliver them in all 50 states. Some other electric vehicle companies have a hard time to get this authorization through. We are seeing some separation here between EV stocks. As we can see, GM and Nikola are doing pretty well right now. Workhorse is working its way up, especially if it lands the contract, and Hyliion is absolutely destroying the stock market because it has passed $50. But this is all short run. We don't know what's going to happen in the long run. We don't know if GM and Nikola are going to be successful together. We don't know if Workhorse is going to land the United States Postal Service contract, and we don't know what Hyliion's stock price is going to be after the merger officially begins, which is on September 28th. Not to mention that NIO, Blink Charging, and Spang are right on the heels of these other EV stocks. We don't know what's in store for them for the future either, which brings us into our last story, which is Berkshire Hathaway, which is ran by Warren Buffett and his portfolio management team. So Warren Buffett is one of the most veteran investors in the history of the world. He is legendary in his stock investments. He has a very good mind and very simple and simplistic tactics that any investor can use. But are these investment strategies going to be relevant in 2020? Let's see. Let's dive into this article. For the majority of 2020, Warren Buffett hasn't bought anything, which is quite strange because he has loads of cash sitting on the sideline waiting to find good investments. And just recently, in the past couple of months, Warren Buffett has bought 3 companies, which are pretty strange to a lot of investors, and they are very perplexed. And many investors think that Warren Buffett is losing his edge because his simple investing philosophies might not be holding up in 2020 because they don't seem to apply in this new environment. Not to mention that, surprising many people, Berkshire Hathaway bought Barrick Gold less than a month ago. People were shocked by this because Warren Buffett has gone on record to say that he does not like gold. He says that you take a piece of metal that people dig up in South Africa and then you put it back in the ground at Fort Knox. A chairman for Berkshire Hathaway also says that Berkshire Hathaway has never had the slightest interest in owning gold. And ever since Berkshire Hathaway bought Barrick Gold, the media has been going crazy about it, saying Warren Buffett finally bought gold. Well, sorry to be the stick in the mud, but he didn't, and they are all morons because Barrick Gold doesn't have any gold. They only sell mining equipment so they can mine gold. He bought the company, not the gold itself. Can't you see the distinction? After that whole fiasco, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway decided to invest in an unprofitable tech IPO. At least it's unprofitable to most investors' eyes. I am following with Warren Buffett here because he is investing in a cloud computing high flyer software developer named Snowflake, and he thinks that it has future potential, and I think that he is 100% right. Snowflake does have future potential. It's just very cheap right now. Berkshire Hathaway Incorporated has agreed to purchase 4 million plus shares. Snowflake, which is the IPO technology company that Berkshire Hathaway invested in, reported revenue of $242 million in the first half of 2020, which is up 133% from last year's period, which they had a net loss of $171 million, which I think that is absolutely phenomenal that they could come back 133% just in 1 year. I think it was a great investment, not to mention that Berkshire Hathaway is also going to invest in one of Jack Ma's company. Jack Ma is one of the richest men in China, and the IPO for Jack Ma's company is supposed to raise over $30 billion. So he has already jumped on that bandwagon. So I don't understand why people are giving Warren Buffett such a hard time. He has not lost his edge. His philosophies still work, and he is still one of the greatest investors of all time. Now, I will not always agree with Warren Buffett. We have different types of methodologies and investing strategies, but Warren Buffett is always going to be a legendary investor, and he is always very safe. He made his millions off of investing mainly in insurance companies such as Geico when they were very cheap. And compared to that investment, he just put a little bit of change into Snowflake. He put $750 million into Snowflake's IPO, which is their initial public offering because they are a new company. And that is nothing compared to the stockpile of cash that Berkshire Hathaway has, which is $150 billion sitting on the sidelines waiting to be invested. The author of the article thinks that the investment environment has changed and next generation investors are looking more toward people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos instead of legendary investors like Warren Buffett, due to Tesla's and Amazon's success of having a 5-year return of over 500%, where Berkshire Hathaway only has a 63%. This comparison is absolutely absurd. It's like comparing an ETF to a singular stock. Of course, a singular stock is going to have more growth than an ETF, but the ETF is more diversified, it's less risky, and it has the ability to be safe unlike the regular stock. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. I'll see you in the next YT video.